Hey folks, so I had a different video planned for today, but I saw this article. It was passed on to me by a friend of mine, and it is from Insider Gaming. It is from the same dude that actually made that ridiculous article for Palworld and for Xbox and how they were going to get PETA involved, and that they actually rang PETA to try and see if they could intervene to take Palworld off air because of animal cruelty. There are actually dumb people like this, and the sad thing is they actually have a job as a journalist, being able to report on this stuff in video games. Yes, I'm talking about video games here. I am not talking about actual animal cruelty. We are talking about a video game where you can go and, basically defeat an animal, a creature, or anything. And yeah, so, what's this story about? You may have obviously seen the thumbnail and you've seen that the developers are console warring again. And well, we've seen where this led to before, right? We've seen that this has come full circle with the teams from Team Killa and how their game Quantum Error decided to literally error out as they tried to console war in hopes that Sony would purchase them and rely on that magical SSD, and then no one actually bought the game and no one wanted to play it and no one gave it a good score. In fact, the Metacritic score was so bad that we haven't heard from Team Killa ever since. But hey, at least they're making a sequel to that game for PlayStation exclusively, and they can keep it. But it does seem that this has now occurred again, and although it's not as bad as it originally sounds, it is a kind of sign of a little bit of worry for what's coming ahead. And although I do understand the logic behind what the developer was getting at, and even the actual source is very, very shaky, Insider Gaming decided that what they wanted to do is take this Icon Era's comment at face value and post it as legit news. We're not talking like an insider or an actual credited person. I dare say Jason Schreier, who actually does do his homework, even though I don't like the way he reports, his reports are actually on point, right? I don't like the way he targets people and uses people and exploits people for his own personal gain. But I also do understand, but I do respect the work because it is done with a lot of evidence, a lot of factual research, and a lot of legwork to actually make it happen, right? To actually get it out there. He's not reporting on stuff. He doesn't report on the ifs and the maybes and the what ifs. But let's have a look at what's being said, because that has a lot of context in what's actually going on. So as you can see here, Phantom Blade Zero Dev says nobody needs Xbox, and that's a very, very damning statement. Like, that is seeking violence on a Sunday, and that is just out for blood. But clearly Insider Gaming here, with their so-called journalists, are deciding to take quotes found randomly on the internet by a bunch of nobodies and pass it off as news as 100% legit stated quoted information. And even then, assuming it was correct, they decided to edit what was actually being said to make it sound 10 times worse for that clickbait glory. Now, people like this journalist that we're about to see, and it will actually make sense, right? Just bear with me. It will actually make sense. I actually don't know how they're allowed to publish content like this, how it even gets past their editorial. It just puts a complete damning shadow over Insider Gaming, and it really becomes a trash of a place to even go to. And it's one of the reasons why I don't actually go here anymore, because the person that's reported this article, Grant Taylor Hill, and he may be a really nice guy for all we know, but for those of you that are keen-eyed will remember him from this, and this is why I don't get why anyone actually values a single word this idiot says. PETA issue statement on animal cruelty. Now, he actually, he said, I recently reached out to PETA to see how the organization feels about the claims of animal cruelty running rampant in Palworld. And yet at the same time, You go and play Horizon Forbidden West or Zero Dawn or any other goddamn game out there. Go and play Final Fantasy 11 or any Final Fantasy. The starting areas are littered with little furry animals that you go and slaughter for XP. It's literally the way it's always been since the beginning of gaming time. And yet this dude decided that now was the time, because it's Xbox, he is going to go after them. So it's no surprise that when this statement came out, Phantom Blade Zero Dev, nobody needs it, I was a bit skeptical when it was sent to me, because the moment I saw that name, I immediately assumed that this was clickbait, because it is written by a person who has such a hate boner for Xbox and is such a monumental idiot that I'm surprised that people like him still have a job. Because this is hate-fueled for clickbait glory and nothing else, right? But let's go through the article anyway, because there is a semblance of truth to what he said. He didn't have to edit or leave parts out that actually give context to what's being said. But instead, he chose violence on this day, so I'm going to shit on this Grant like there's no tomorrow, because he is a bona fide piece of shit. Anyway, as we're going, in a recent report, and dude, if you want to reach out to me, by all means, go for it. In a recent report published by a Brazilian outlet attending China Joy 2024, it was claimed that a Phantom Blade Zero claimed, right? There's no actual evidence. It was claimed that a Phantom Blade Zero developer had some harsh words for the Xbox ecosystem. It was explained by the developers of both Black Myth Wukong and Phantom Blade Zero that they don't have exclusivity agreements in place with Sony. They just don't see the need to bring their games to Xbox. So this already is factually incorrect, because Black Myth Wukong is coming to Xbox. It's just not going to be at launch, but it is coming. So this statement here already that this Grant is writing, you can already see that he is lying out of his teeth to get a story out. That's a bit harsh. As per the post-Brazilian outlet, when an S-game developer was questioned on the platform distribution of Phantom Blade Zero at China Joy 2024, part of their response was scolding. Nobody needs this platform. And again, it is incorrect. That is not what that developer said. He's just twisting the words, cutting it short to make it sound as humanly worse as possible. Thanks to Icon Era's John Elden Ring for source. They're going to Icon Era random poster for a source. Anyway, the anonymous developer was talking about Xbox. Reportedly, they went on to say, reportedly, not they did go on to say, they reportedly, they considering, they might be, they may be, they could be, they should be, they will be, Why can't a single journalist out there worth a grain of their salt actually just put their name against what they're saying and have the goddamn balls to stick by it? This guy clearly has no balls. Reportedly, they went on to say that the console platform isn't popular in Asia. You don't say! Oh my god! This can't be real. This cannot be real. Can anyone actually genuinely believe that the Xbox platform, which has sold less than 1 million units in Japan, or the Far East in general, is not popular? Now, how is this? Look at it. They went on to say the console platform isn't popular in Asia. That's the statement. Nobody needs this platform. The console platform isn't popular in Asia. Which is true. There's no lie to that, but nobody needs this platform. That's a global statement. And this dude over here, this Grant Taylor Hill, he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. Because any dig that him and his ilk can take on Xbox, they will take it. and that Microsoft has made it tough to develop games for the Xbox Series X and S by creating a very overloaded ecosystem. And by that, they mean that, with the way the ecosystem is and Game Pass, it's hard to break through if you're not on Game Pass. That is their statement. And there is some truth to that. There is. Black Myth Wukong is being released on August 20th on PlayStation 5 and PC. Now, this is where my point is going to come in straight away. These companies that want to skip Xbox, that's perfectly fine, right? I've been saying this time and time again, as long as the console sales are low, more and more companies are going to skip them. For all I know, this could be another quantum error, and it will be a complete colossal mess, and no one's going to want to play it. But if it is actually a success, the sooner Phil decides what he wants to do with Steam, whether he wants to embrace it or not embrace it, I think he should start to embrace it at this point if he's not going to focus on selling consoles. Because, we see a bunch of Xbox fans now, and I'm not going to name anyone, I'm not going to call out anyone, but they essentially say that the consoles themselves don't matter. This right here is why it matters. Because if you're not selling your console, developers look at that and say, you know what, there's no market there, we're just not going to release it. Now, obviously, these are smaller companies thinking this, but bigger companies eventually will. Now, an easy way to counter this is for Phil and Gabe to get together, come to some agreement, get Steam onto Xbox, and that way, regardless of where the game goes, it will always go to Steam. It's going to go to Xbox. Do the same partnership with Epic. Put the EGS store onto the Xbox as well. This will completely butcher Xbox's own store. I totally get it. But at that point, Xbox gamers can rest easy because they're basically going to get every single game except PlayStation exclusives, which will be a timed exclusive that will arrive sometime later. While Phantom Blade Zero is assumed to be dropping in 2026, I've linked these two titles here because both S-Game and Game Science were at China Joy 2024, and the Brazilian articles make it clear from the developers that while both games aren't being released on Xbox, it isn't because they have secured an exclusivity deal with Sony. Now, the fact that he's actually turning around and saying that Wukong isn't coming over to Xbox, I just can't take his I can't take anything he's saying seriously. This is just pure garbage written. Of course, the PlayStation fans are going mental with this, but the amount of just misleading stuff in this article, and to think that whoever's the editor in chief here at Insider Gaming is allowing stuff like this to go through should be ashamed of themselves. You just had the publication Game Informer after 33 years closing its doors. And instead of them staying vigilant and active, you got people like this who spread lies, misinformation, and are still here. They just don't feel that anyone needs the Xbox platform, which is pretty inflammatory thing to say. That's not what they said. That is literally not what they said. They went on to say that the console platform isn't popular in Asia and that the ecosystem creates an overcrowded place to market your game. That's what they said. They did not say anyone needs an Xbox platform. See, it's lies again, which is a pretty inflammatory thing to say. No, it's not. It's you saying it, Mr. Grant. Grant, it is you saying this. No one else is saying this. It's clearly obvious how much you hate Xbox. It's clear from here that you decided to contact PETA to try and get the game taken down. How sad, pathetic of a human being can you actually be to do that over a video game when defeating creatures has been part of the video game cycle for XP since the beginning of time? But anyway, however, it's no big secret that Microsoft's hardware sales are falling, and the team looks intent on relying on streaming and cloud-based solutions, so who knows, perhaps even Xbox doesn't need Xbox. Can you see how much of a dig this whole article is at Xbox? This guy must love being able to be in a position. This dude right here. This dude. Where is it? This dude right here. He must love it. Oh my god. Oh my god. But what can I say? You give anyone the space to air a voice and an opinion, and they will. But at the end of the day, if you are in a professional position like the one these publications have that put their work in front of an audience, and they're actually getting paid for it by it's a job. They write an article, editor-in-chief reads it. So that editor-in-chief, whoever it is, clearly said that this information was all factual, was all accurate, was great. It's going to make us a lot of money because there's nothing here that's actually telling the truth. Very minimal. The rest is made up bullshit. Go to press with it. There's enough clickbait on there to get us the clicks. I don't know, folks. You tell me. You tell me. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here inside of gaming? I don't know who runs it. I know Tom Henderson works there, or is he the CEO? I don't know. But good Lord, this Grant Hill has such a hate boner for Xbox, it's not even funny. Like, that article was so waste of time. Such a waste of time. The only aspect of that article that made any remote full sense was the fact that the developers said the console platform isn't popular in Asia. And guess what? It's not. It's really not. And that's not a surprise to anyone. But what can I say? You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.